am Poppy Cooks and I am the queen of potatoes of the internet, and I'm here to show you how to make a Swiss dish, a Rosti, which is like a hash brown, but it's all in one pan, and then you can cut it up and put caviar on it. It's very posh. For our lovely little Rosti, we are going to need some potatoes. Surprisingly, you've come here for a potato dish. Oh, we need some potatoes. So I have got some Maris Piper potatoes. In the US, you would be using an Idaho or a russet potato. I think it's more of an Idaho potato, actually. Please let me know which one specifically is better, especially if you've lived in the UK and in the US. I'd absolutely love to know the definite answer, because I give both options because I'm not 100% sure and I've never had either of them. So I've just been told that actually a russet potato is also known as an Idaho potato and is more commonly known as a russet throughout the US. But maybe in Idaho it's called an Idaho, maybe in Idaho it's called an Idaho potato. Oh, so the same? I thought, basically it's the same thing. So it's like a DOP is an Idaho potato, as in like, DOP means, it's like it has to be, like champagne is DOP, it can only be called champagne if it's made in Champagne. So an Idaho potato can only be called an Idaho potato if it's grown in Idaho. The things you learn, eh? Anyway, back to this one. It's a Maris Piper, nothing to do with Idaho or russet. Peel it. And we're using this because it's a starchy potato, and we want our Rosti to have a nice fluffy inside texture with a lovely golden crispiness on the outside. So get them peeled, and I've done a bit of a trick with this as well. So this pan that I'm using, God knows what size it is, I don't know, 15 inches. I have absolutely no idea. But I've put in potatoes to fill it, and then that's how many potatoes I'm going to use. Plus one, I always add a little extra one. It's a little bit like in the UK when you have a cup of tea and you do a teapot, you put in a tea bag for each person, then one for the pot. That's what we're gonna do. So it's a potato to fill and one for the pan. For instance, if I'm doing a tray bake or if I'm doing something in a pan and I'm not sure exactly how many potatoes I'm going to have to use, I get the potatoes and I actually fill the pan. Some of these are absolutely tiny, hang on. Fill the pan with the potatoes, and then I know that I need basically all of those to fill this pan, plus one. And that's how I kind of eyeball it into how many potatoes I need. And then for some recipes, I do weigh them out and everything, you know, to make it a bit more concise for you. You can weigh it, but that's my method. There's method in the madness. Back to it. Peel your potatoes, and then we're going to use a box grater with this larger side to grate them. Now, you might be like, this is like a hash brown, and it is like a hash brown, but the difference between a hash brown and a Rosti is that a Rosti is cooked whole in a pan, so the whole pan is going to be filled, and then you divide it into like pizza slice looking things, and a hash brown is an individually cooked patty or Rosti sort of thing. Also, Rostis usually have a bit of fat in them to help cook, so we're going to put a bit of butter in there, but we're not going to put butter, we're going to put clarified butter, but actually ghee. There's a whole thread. Anyway, grate your potato. Ooh, my arm. Be careful not to grate your fingers. I just always end up, you've got to get flat. The flatter you know, like when you feed a horse and you have to like bend your hands back like that. It's a bit like that with a grater. Don't hold it, use the palm and grate. Then, we're going to want to get as much starch out of this, or as much liquid out of this as possible. So grab a tea towel. I've already done some here. Here's a whole bowl that we've already done. So you get a tea towel, you add in your I mean, you can see I'll just squeeze this, for example, very, 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 I'm hardly squeezing that. Potatoes are 80% water. Yeah, 80%. It's like humans. Are we 70% water or 80%? I can't remember. We're very similar to potatoes. And what you're going to do is through a tea towel or a bit of muslin cloth or cheesecloth, just wring out as much of that liquid as you can, because usually in cooking, the drier something is, the crispier it's going to get. So, you know, if you're doing like a roast chicken or something, or a steak, you always pat it dry first, then add your salt onto it, as you would with chicken and as you would with potatoes. You know, when you're doing your chips, you want to get them nice and dry and all that jazz. Loads of liquid will come out, and then you'll be left with this ball of dry grated potato. I'm going to add that to the rest of the mix, and I'm also going to do the same thing with an onion. So I'm going to take the top and the bottom off. I'm going to remove the skin, and I'm going to grate it and also drain the liquid off. And I like to add onions so it's got that lovely bit of like savoury flavour in there. Grate this. Again, palm of the hand, kind of using the thumb as the stopper and the kind of curve it round a little bit. If you've got one of those really cool food processors which has a grating attachment, just do that. Just chuck a load of potatoes in there, chuck a load of onion, then squeeze it. There is a trick obviously with onion and a little bit of wet paper, which absorbs the kind of onion acid that makes you cry. There's a technical term for that, I don't know it. But my trick is to just breathe through your mouth. If it works or not, it might be placebo, but it seems to be okay. So drain the onion as well. Oh my goodness, I've got potato everywhere. You can see, again, onion has got a lot of liquid in it. That's just like shmush. Oh, it's squelched up then, and a little bit through. Ooh, like touching cloth. Ooh, don't like the feel of that. A bit like a water snake. One of those water snakes when you're little. I used to love them. Get my finger right in it. Okay. Ooh. Scrape the onion off your tea towel. This tea towel's going to stink. Add that into your potato mix. So once you've got your potatoes and onions, we want plenty of salt. Good pinch and a bit. Some black pepper. And you can add other bits into here. Sometimes I'll put a bit of chilli flake in, but I kind of want this just kind of plain today. Oh, this is crunchy pepper. There we go. So we're going to add in some clarified butter, but this is actually ghee. So ghee is clarified butter, but you can do a process at home of clarifying your own butter. You just need to melt your butter down, and then you can either very carefully pour this lovely golden liquid that's on top and leave these buttermilk solids underneath. It's that white bit that you kind of get left in the pan. Or you can melt it, put it into a lunchbox tray, like a glass container, you know, like you have like your lunch boxes in. Well, your lunch boxes, your lunch in. Set that in the fridge, poke a little hole in the corner, and then you can pour away the buttermilk solids. And or you can keep it and then marinate your chicken in it, or you can keep it and put it into dressings and all that sort of stuff. It's buttermilk. Clarified butter or ghee gets rid of that, meaning that it doesn't brown as quickly, or doesn't actually brown, because the buttermilk is what burns, what browns, and makes that kind of burnt butter, brown butter, burn rosette that we're used to, that kind of like frothy, foamy bit. So this doesn't have that in there, which means we can cook this for longer in a pan. It isn't going to burn, but it's going to caramelise. So this is ghee. About 2 tablespoons, 2 and a bit. I haven't fully melted it, but it will be fine. And get that mixed together. I'm going to go hands in to get this mixed properly. Once it's all fully incorporated and you've got like an even spread of onion and potato, you can start getting this cooking. That looks gorgeous already. I can smell that lovely butteriness and a bit of pepper and that onion coming through. So I'm using like a medium-sized non-stick frying pan, which has got like a nice little bit of depth to it because we want there to be a good inch of potato, minimum. What's that? That's like that, yeah, a good inch of potato at least. So it's going to be preheated. So I've got this on a medium temperature, about a 6. Well, mine goes up to 14, so about a 6. Like, you want it a little bit lower just because we don't want to cook it fast because we need to cook the inside as well. So we're cooking it on a lower temperature, low medium, just so that we can cook the potato all the way through. Like I said, if we're doing an inch of potato, we don't want it to be raw in the middle. So then, kind of splatoon your potato shreds into here. And you don't want to really compact it because the air pockets that we leave will help. The steam from that potato that's cooking underneath needs a little bit of wiggle room to actually flow all the way through your rosti. So it doesn't need to be completely squashed down into the pan. You do want that base layer to be fully covered, but it's just not quite as tightly impacted as you would imagine. Needs a little bit of room to breathe. You want it flat on top because when we flip it, we want it to have a nice even edge. It's just not that it's really tightly packed in. Just wiping the rosti down so it's flat, but not putting any pressure onto it. You can obviously, and probably would be better to use a piece of equipment for this, like a spatula, but I'm already 2 hands deep, so I might as well just carry on. Butterfingers. Oh, I see you love salad fingers, but I'm butterfingers. Give it a little slap and leave it alone. So we're gonna leave that on a medium-low heat. Probably gonna be around 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes on that first side. And I'll show you as we do it, but you'll see the potato around the edge cook a little bit, and then that's when you know it's ready to flip. With your rosti, you can see that actually the colours kind of started to change. So the outside bits have kind of become yellowier, I suppose, whereas this is still very kind of opaque. It's that white kind of opaque of the potato, whereas the bits that are more cooked and where the steam's come through have actually become, it is yellowier, but it's not yellow. You can see it. When you do it yourself, you can really see the difference. And you can also tell it's ready to flip by these kind of corner, well, not corner, it's a circle, isn't it? So it would be the edges. You can kind of see a little bit of golden colour coming through the edges. So I believe we are ready to flip this. Now, if you're really confident, you can do a pancake flip. I'm not that confident with my wrist action. So I am going to put a plate on top and flip it into the plate and then slide it back into that pan. So I've got a big enough plate to sit on top. I'm going to put a very thick oven tea towel underneath here and hold it. And then I'm going to hold this one and literally just flip it onto there. Remove that. Oh, look at that, it's beautiful. Gorgeous. Beautifully caramelised, golden all over. I'm actually going to get a tiny little bit more clarified butter, a little bit more ghee, just add a little tiny spoonful into the bottom of there, just so that underside gets that gorgeous crispiness. We don't need a lot, just a little, here's a bit of French. Were we talking French? No, this is Swiss, isn't it? A little soupçon. Don't know what that actually means, but everyone just goes, little soupçon. We only have like it's a whole different video I'm talking about anyway. Bit of oil in the pan, a little bit of that lovely butter, and then just help it off straight back in. And I'm going to leave that again around, it's going to be a little bit less time. Now we're only kind of looking for a bit of colour because that steam has cooked basically all the way through our rosti. So it's probably going to be about 10 minutes or so rather than the 15. 10 minutes in there to get that lovely golden caramelisation on both sides. So the rosti, let's just check the underbelly of this beast to make sure we're happy with that side. Oh, I've just nearly ripped it, but beautiful. Maybe I'll just flip it over. I don't know what it looks. Fantastic, there you go. Gorgeous and caramelised. I still kind of prefer the other side though, so there we go. Now, like I said, the difference between a rosti and a hash brown is that this is a whole, it's a whole rosti, whereas a hash brown you do like the individual portions for people. So what we're gonna do, first of all, music to my ears. That's like, I feel like I do run an orchestra. Whatever. What we're gonna do is cut it into nice slices, so almost like a pizza. Well, not almost, exactly like a pizza. You want to use a nice sharp knife because it's very crispy. Very crispy. Oh, I hope you heard that. It properly cracked then. Middle bit is very crispy. And then, so we'll probably get 8 out of this, 8 portions. I kind of like use the tip of the knife just to go through the top bit so that you're not kind of dragging it and disturbing the shape too much. And then, like that. And then, once you've got an indent, you can crisp through it. There we go. I might just do these as they're going through. Oh, it's hot. It's hot and buttery. Lovely and soft on the inside as well. Have I said that this is a Swiss dish? I have, haven't I? This is a Swiss dish. Swish, bitch. A Swiss dish. Which I actually, so I did Mastermind. Hilarious, I did Celebrity Mastermind. Like I didn't choose to go in it, I was doing it for charity. And my category, so you get general knowledge, well you do your category, so your what is it called? Specialist subject, and I did the history of potatoes. And Rosti was one of the questions, where does Rosti originate from? And I think I might have panicked and got it wrong. I thought I might have said Sweden, or did I get it right? I'm getting confirmation that I got it right. I can't even remember. No, it's not the only one I got right. That's an absolute lie. I got 4 right in a minute. Look, 2 of them you didn't see actually got disqualified because I didn't quite pronounce it correctly, which I think is very harsh. I think I said papas instead of papatas. I missed like a P out of one. And also, you are literally under a spotlight, one-on-one. It's meant to be an interrogation, and trying to think that quickly. I don't know if you've seen any of my other videos or anything I've ever done, I can't think that quickly and I get everything wrong anyway. So actually asking me questions, hell, terrifying. But I thought I did quite well, really. I had to remember a lot. There's a long history of potatoes, and I did think that. Anyway, I've learnt now this is definitely Swiss, and I remembered it, and I answered it correctly. And now I've just fondled the whole of the Rosti with my fingers. So, traditionally, I don't know traditionally actually. I'm going to serve this up with a little bit of creme fraiche and a little bit of caviar. We've got some lumpfish caviar, none of the real posh stuff, just the supermarket stuff. But that's a really lovely way to eat this. It's that lovely buttery kind of saltiness of the potato with that luxurious creme fraiche and then that hit of delicious caviar on it. So I'll get this served up, and then we'll have a little fancy bit where you get like, you know, that spinny bit that comes up. You'll see it there. And there you have it. We've got this all butter, crispy, lovely Rosti. We've got a little bit of creme fraiche, we've got a little bit of caviar, and of course a bit of chive for health. I think it's be perfect for like Christmas morning as well. A bit of smoked salmon on this, all over it. It's so soft, but then really, really crispy because of that clarified butter. I think it's like a bit salty. That onion kind of gives it a little bit of like a savoury, oniony taste, I suppose. And I didn't actually get any of my caviar yet. but that's just going to be a pop of salty deliciousness. The Swiffer got it right on this one. Bloody delicious. And remember, if you do enjoy my mumbo jumbo content, then please do like and subscribe for more delicious potato recipes and just me eating, basically. I might just make this a whole eating page instead, but yeah, let me know what you think.